Good morning, good afternoon, power hitters, solar warrior tribe. Today is January 10th, 2023. My name is Jarrett McAllister, your mentor and co-host, alongside my brothers in arms, Mr. Jonathan Bernasso and Tom Cotter. How are you gentlemen doing?
I'm doing excellent. Happy New Year's, everyone. Kicking off 2023 strong already. We got a lot to cover today.
We do. And can I just say, it feels great to be back. I was on a 2-week hiatus, family vacation, road tripping, because I unfortunately felt the effects of Southwest canceling thousands and thousands of flights. My family and I found ourselves at the airport day after Christmas in Spokane, going down to California, where, they canceled our flight. So we made the quick decision to hop in the truck, dig out 3 feet of snow out the bed, load up the luggage, and drive 15 hours down to NorCal so we could visit family and friends. And after a 10-day road trip, let me say, that was, I would like to say I'm refreshed after a vacation, but that was a lot. So,
Wow.
But we're back. And one last thing, if I may, I would just like to say thank you to all the people who reached out after we did the virtual sales presentation training. That was a huge success. A lot of people reached out, they loved it, tons of views, people saying that it's helped them. I think Ramsey messaged me saying he closed 3 deals since using that presentation. So very humbled and just, happy to be able to contribute to the organization.
Yeah, Jared, thank you. That was a great training. For those of you that just want a quick refresher of what he's referring to in case you didn't watch it, he really did a great virtual sales homeowner presentation here. And I'll go ahead and throw it into the chat. Always good to fine tune your pitch and watch other people's pitches, especially someone like Jarrett that does a lot of one call closings. So yes, let me put it here. And hope everyone is staying safe with this weather and snow and rain right now in California. Tom Cotter, let's hear your quote of the day, Solar Warrior Tribe.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jarrett. Yeah, it's good to be back in a new year with everyone. I saw this quote and I wanted to share it. It's from Robin Sharma, and it says, "To double your income and success, triple your investment in personal development and professional mastery." So I just want you to think about, we all have income goals in our businesses that are, 6 or 7 figures, depending on, where you're headed, what your activity level is as well. But, let's say that your goal is to make 100,000 or $1 million. What happens if you make 100,000, or when you make 100,000, or when you make $1 million? Does that income just unravel your life, so to speak? Because you can't handle that income, or you're not ready for that level of income, whatever your goal is. So the other side of this is, think about the books that you're reading, the people that you're listening to, the people that you're surrounding yourselves with. We're headed, this week, many of us, 150 of us around, are headed to the Leadership Summit in Carlsbad to surround ourselves with other leaders and people, that we can learn from, and iron sharpens iron. So I just want, last week we talked about daily activities, and I want you to think about this week, what kind of a person you need to be in order to make the level of income that you want to make. What type of person is that? What are your daily habits? What are the books that you read, the videos that you watch? So let me share this quote again. "To double your income and success, triple your investment in personal development and professional mastery." Thanks, Jonathan.
Awesome, Tom. Love that as always. Someone asked if you could put it into the chat. But we're going to go ahead and move into success stories. Specifically today, guys, I want you to think about a new consultant that joined under you, or a new ambassador that signed up under you. really want to focus on those two activities. How to get someone to register or sign up to you. Build your business, getting you referrals, or joining as a consultant. I'd love to hear a success story this year, if you have one, on how one or two of you got that to happen. Let's do 2 or 3. We'll do Anthony and Owen. Anthony, you're growing your team massively. Big shout out to you and all your leaders, Jordan Shaw, Zachary Bach, and so many people. What's your success story, brother?
Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, team. So I recently onboarded Renew Consultants. It's been a work in progress. So it's been months of communicating with these people, people that I know. One, she's a realtor, and then she already has 2 projects that we sold. Another person, he's a realtor / 1-year solar experience consultant from a different company. Recently onboarded him. His name is Marius from Palm Springs. And recently onboarded a lender, also a solar consultant with Sunrun. And again, it didn't happen overnight. It's just conversations I've been having with them for quite a few months already, and just letting them experience what's going on in the real estate lending office and their last solar company. So yeah, what I did is just plug them in with the team, have them attend the trainings, and yeah, man, it's just plug and play. Teaching them what we do here at Powur. Just learning from you and doing everything you do, Jonathan.
Wise words, Anthony. If you guys took that in, real estate, mortgage is a big secret to Anthony's success, making 6 figures passively on his way to multiple. So nice, Anthony. Let's do Owen and then Tyler. And if you have any more, feel free to type them in the chat. Owen Carey.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to a couple folks here. I have Stacy Cabin, who's actually in here as well. She just became a level 2. We actually did 3, and then she did 4th the next day, so that was great. And then we also have Sean, another recruit of mine who became a mentor. And prayers and thoughts to his family. His son actually had to go get a special procedure. Has had some stomach issues, so just keep him in your thoughts and his family. But yeah, everything else is great.
Nice, Owen. Nice work. Look forward to seeing you this weekend at the Leadership Summit. Tyler Ingley, welcome, sir.
Good morning, guys. I want to give a shout out to David DeSeal and Isaac Lorenzo. David joined us last month, and he has his own financial consulting firm. So he comes from the finance, sales, life insurance sales world, but he's based in Florida, but he's been buying and calling on leads. And we got one in South Carolina. It's his first sale. He's got a bunch of appointments for this week. So, Tom, you talked about activity. He is blocking time every day for activities solely to build his Powur business. And now we're starting to see that. And it's only been a month. So he's doing all the right things to build his pipeline. He's got his first customer, a couple referrals already. So it's exciting to see that. And then Isaac Lorenzo, he's in Northern California, comes from construction sales, doing direct mail. So he's getting creative with direct mail, and he hired canvassers, and he's also calling on leads. And we got his first one across over the weekend, and already signed him up as an ambassador, who he referred Isaac to his neighbor. And so we had a Zoom with his neighbor, and she's extremely interested and reviewing a cash deal as well. So he's doing all the right stuff to build that initial pipeline to get the momentum going, and then it grows from there. So really excited for both of them. David will be with us later this week. So yeah, I just wanted to give them both a shout out.
Beautiful. Awesome to hear, Tyler. What I really heard was enthusiasm of helping others and giving them income and getting them to see the value and them getting excited. And that's what we get to do here, whether it's homeowners or sales reps or consultants. And I love that. So thank you for sharing. And we'll do one last one. Bill Connell.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I would like to give a shout out to Tony Brennan, who is a little shy to speak on his own behalf, but Tony came in and immediately blew this thing out of the water, did 8 deals in his first 30 days. He's just been in Powur for a little over a couple of months now, joined BNI immediately, had a great group that he's joined, and has not only continued to do deals, but has brought on a lot of other consultants. I don't even know how many consultants he's brought on so far, but I just want to give props to Tony Brennan.
Beautiful. Awesome, Bill. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you sharing. Let's go ahead and keep going, guys. Thank you, Jarrett and Tom. As usual, 2 or 3 quick things, and we'll hand it right off to this amazing roofing training and new proposal tool. Just in case you're new, as a reminder, take a screenshot of this. JC Rangel does trainings every Monday, which are amazing. Yesterday with his team, Zach Bach and Anthony Bonilla's team and Jordan Shaw they're crushing it. Tuesday, today, we got an awesome training for you. This Wednesday at 7 p.m. in person, Power Hour. Seats are limited, but JC and Bobby Smith will be doing an in-person business presentation in Downey in person tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And then the Leadership Summit, very excited to see a lot of you Thursday and Friday, those of you that can attend and qualified to attend. And then I'm not sure about these Thursday events, guys, because of the Leadership Summit, but every Thursday, normally, Melissa Dawson is training on enterprise. Women of Power, Marisa, Cynthia are doing a training every Thursday. And then if you're new here, please make sure to take an onboarding with Irene every Thursday at 12 and 5 Pacific. Next Tuesday's training is to be determined, and lots of trainings in powercalendar.com. Again, market specific, office hours, market spotlight, Enphase, Solar Edge, LinkedIn, a whole bunch more. Power is looking to do a virtual convention likely in March for 2 days, virtual. And then I want to spotlight in a second here, Solar Con in Salt Lake City, Utah, April 20th and 22nd. I believe Jonathan Budd will be a speaker at this event. Late summer, Power is doing an in-person Power World. And JC throws an amazing mentor factory, usually every October of the year. The Leadership Summit is this Thursday, Friday. Jeremy Miner, an amazing sales trainer, will be our keynote speaker. And here's the flyer for this tomorrow night, Wednesday night, with Bobby and JC. And then real quick, Solar Con, again, April 20th to 22nd, Salt Lake City, Utah. You could Google it. There's some discounts right now. I think we have some coupon codes coming. I went last year and it was just really cool to get educated from different panels and speakers and industry leaders and be in the community. And as I mentioned, I believe Jonathan Budd will be speaking on stage at SolarCon. So if you can make it, this is a great event as well. Last thing, Net Metering 3.0 again is here starting April 13th. That doesn't mean they have to be installed by April 13th. It just means that they have to have signed up for solar, and Power submits the interconnection application to the utility. Okay, so I'm telling people you got to sign up by the end of March, and I'm sharing this little script. I'm having graphics made this week that we'll all be able to post and share as well. And batteries will be a lot more important. You can see right here, the Solar Edge battery bank that was installed for my client, Orange County. I'm getting one installed in Vegas, and Tom even has a battery behind him. If you look at his picture, there you go. Is that a plastic mock-up dummy model? Or I think you're muted, but anyways, unmute, Tom.
What are you talking about? It's a energy bank battery and a 7600 inverter right there.
You did some Photoshop magic, I think.
What are you talking about? It's real.
Okay.
That's not a virtual background.
Fair enough. Any questions on net metering? Drop a question in the chat. I'll be sharing graphics. We have to blast this for 90 days, guys. I can't emphasize enough how important this truly is. If today in a solar system is 30,000 to eliminate an electric bill, mark my words, it will be 50,000 after April 13th. It's that severe of a change. So please let all your California clients, ambassadors, homeowners know 10 times over. All right, with that said, we have a brand new roofing proposal. I already have a proposal back myself. I took the certification in knowledge-based Power University. reviewed all the documents. I'm excited for this new proposal. And for those of you who don't know, Kristen Dennis will kick things off here. She's the director of, I don't even know what to say, Kristen. You're the director of auxiliary services and roofing,
roofing and home upgrades.
Home upgrades.
Yeah.
And she's awesome. And she's building out a team. Literally, we weren't doing roofing 2 years ago. There was really not much roofing department set up at all. So what she's done so far to date is awesome. And we're excited to learn about the new roofing process. Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I guess before I start, Jonathan, I'm curious, do we have until the top of the hour, or how much time do we have?
Sometimes we go till like 11:15, but if we can squeeze 40 minutes in, that.
Oh yeah, that's more than enough time.
Okay.
In fact, I also wanted to ask you, obviously the reason I'm on this call is to talk about the new proposal process, but I also have some slides from the masterclass in December that just kind of is a 2022 in review. I thought maybe I'd start there and then talk about the new proposal process, and then hand it over to our roofing manager, Mike Lukitich, to talk through some solar 101 and do some Q&A.
Sounds great.
That sounds all right. I'll get started here. Let me, see here. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, cool. So yeah, as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Kristen Dennis. I just hit my 1-year anniversary with Powur last month, and have been in the solar industry for 16 years. Have worked with a lot of people, even on this call, back in my previous at my previous employer, and have loved working at Powur. Like Jonathan said, when I started, it was me and one other person on the roofing team, and now we have a team of 13. And so I'll just touch on really quickly, I don't have a slide for this, but the team is split into two. So we have a front end team that's handling all proposal work, like pre-contract work, supporting you guys with getting those deals sold. And then we have a team that's managing the project management portion of our roofing life cycle. So I'll show you a little bit more how they're doing that in a minute, but that's kind of how the team's set up. We have a couple other positions. We have an analyst on the team that helps us with reporting and forecasting and onboarding. And then we also have a roofer success specialist that is focused on relationship management with our roofers and really honing that in. So that's being built out. Like a lot of the stuff I'll talk through in a minute, just managing these roofer relationships, making sure that we're, we have scorecards and regular meetings and syncs and that sort of thing with them. So here's a snapshot of what we've been working on this year. In Q1, we really focused, or this last year in 2022. So in 2022, Q1, we focused on our processes and policies, like nailing some of the basics of the roofing program and expanding into new markets to try to get caught up with where we're selling solar. In Q2, we focused on technology enhancements, so building out some systems for us to manage roofing projects. And then we did some strategic staffing hires to get some key positions plugged in. We also launched the roofing policy, so we could kind of have some, ground rules on like what does Powur want to do as far as roofing goes. And that roofing policy you can find on knowledge base. In Q3, we took over the PM tasks for roofing. So traditionally, the solar PMs were managing that. We started to take that over and really hone in on how to best manage roofing projects. We split the team, like I mentioned, into these two groups. We created a roofer assignment tool, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The roofing certification was launched, and then we also dug into pricing. Q4, we launched a new MSA, a master services agreement for our roofing partners. So any new partners and existing partners, we are transitioning currently over into this new MSA that has a lot more detail around expectations, SLAs, detailed pricing, and detailed scope of works, like what do we expect from them for each scope of work and that sort of thing. We're working on a new roofing work order for our roofers and this new proposal process, which has been so exciting, and I can't wait to share more about that. Here's just a quick snapshot of how we manage roofing projects in Powur OS to give you guys this visibility. We have a roofing coordinator assigned to the project as soon as it hits the milestone for PV, which is design approved. So we don't touch roofing projects until we know the customer has approved the project plan. And as soon as they have, it comes over to us and we assign a roofing coordinator to it, and they manage the project all the way through to completion. So we're assigning a roofer at that point. We're creating and sending a work order, and then we're managing permitting, work scheduling. This is just a small subset of some of the tasks that can be added as optional as we're managing the project. So it's been awesome for internally the operations team to have better visibility as to like exactly where the roofing project is at, and we can measure SLAs and make sure that we're on track for project completion. Here's some other things that we've rolled out in regards to how we manage roofing projects. Wanted to just kind of go through this. A few weeks ago, or last month, we launched these auto notifications to our sellers for when a roofing project has been scheduled and when a roofing project has been completed. So you should be receiving an email when both of those tasks are completed on our end that says, hey, your roofing project has been scheduled, and this is who the roofer is that is assigned to that job. Same with project completion. Your roofing project has been completed. It's now ready for solar. Here's a little tidbit on our work order package. So we are getting better and better at providing more detail to our roofers about exactly what we want them to do. And there's going to be some automation in our system that's going to auto trigger that over to our roofers shortly. We're in the middle of testing it right now, so that it's just it's making it as streamlined and as quick as possible for them to receive that from us. We've also built out a roofer assignment strategy. So it's a tool that our team uses when we decide who's going to receive which project. And it has all sorts of data in there that's constantly updated, that has information on territory, pricing. We tier rank our roofers depending on, we have these regular meetings where we evaluate roofers and we rank them, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 based on performance and pricing and cycle times and all of that to make sure that we're assigning the best roofer to your guys' project. And then lastly, change orders. We know it's a hot topic. We are trying our best to minimize change orders as much as possible, although it's just super common in the roofing industry to have change orders because we don't know what we don't know until we get on, our roofer gets out there and tears off the roof. So we're working on some different enhancements to just mitigate and reduce as many change orders as possible. And it's something that we're constantly looking at. Okay, I wanted to just hit on pricing because this is also a hot topic, and I think, you know, we get feedback from sellers sometimes like, hey, this feels, you know, overpriced, or hey, I have a bid from a different roofer that can do it for cheaper. And first of all, I just want to say we need that information. So if you ever have a competitive quote that is cheaper than what we're offering, please send it to us. Let us see what's out there. Let us compare apples to apples and see whether or not there's something that we can change on our end, or if we can say, oh, that's because, you know, this roofer's doing it this way, and we can just manage those on a case-by-case basis. But we've started this quarterly exercise. It started in Q4 this last year, where we are doing a massive pricing analysis on all of our regional roofing pricing. And so we did a deep dive on, there's 3 data points that we looked at. So we sent out RFPs in all of our high volume markets for standard scopes of work. And these are to non-Powur roofing partners where we are wanting to try to figure out, like, we were to send this out to you, like what are our competitors pricing at? So we got some great data there. We collected about 75 Xactimate quotes across all markets. And Xactimate is a company that insurance insurance companies use that prices work based on information that they've gathered for that market. And then we've also reviewed hundreds of competitive bids that we've received over time for those different scopes. So what we found is that in most markets, we were priced competitively. In some markets, we were actually lower than some of the pricing that we were getting, and some we were higher. So we made adjustments accordingly to many of our markets, just to make sure that we're based, we have the right pricing set there. And then from there, right before we rolled out our new MSA 3.0, we sent the pricing to all of our partners and said, this is Powur's pricing. We need you to agree to this based on market and based on scope. And that's how we're approaching this new MSA. So we know that we're getting the right pricing from our partners, and we don't accept higher pricing in those markets that we have that established pricing at. What else? Yeah, so this will be a quarterly exercise. We have our next meeting actually next week to start digging in and just doing another review. And yeah, again, if you have a competitive quote, email it to us, and we have actually even a template where we do the side-by-side comparison, and we can send that back. And we need your guys' data from the field. We're doing our own research as best we can, but you guys are the front line. So if you have information that needs to be shared with the roofing team, like, please pass it over. We want that. And last, here's just a snapshot of where we're at with roofing markets. There's a couple markets that we're looking to open next, and I also would add that we're trying to focus on opening Illinois and Idaho as well. We're really close there. But basically, when we think about opening a new market, we are going into that market, doing a pricing analysis. We are vetting and onboarding partners. We don't want to open a market where we only have one roofer. We try to make sure that we're prepared and have coverage across the state. So that's kind of our strategy, and we try to also just follow along where we're opening solar markets is where we focus on priority for opening roofing markets. If you want to sell roofing in a market that is where we do not have Powur roofers, then you would go through the homeowner rebate process with your customer to allow them to include roofing as part of their loan. So there's information about that on Knowledge Base if you need to learn more. Okay, so now to dig into the roofing proposal in Powur.com. I'll go through some slides here. So very high level, the workflow is that the seller will request a proposal in Powur.com. The roofing team will create a roof measurement and a proposal for you and upload it back into Powur.com for you to then present to your customer. So this means that we will not be doing solo proposals anymore, and you won't be receiving any of those confusing auto emails from Solo or any of the timeline delays and that sort of thing when we were using Solo for roofing. And you won't have to fill out that re-roof request form. Some of you guys use that as another way to get your request over to us. That form is dead. We won't need it anymore. We also don't need you to email roofing@powur.com to request a roofing proposal. You can just go right into Powur.com and request there. All right, so here's just some screenshots. I'm going to just kind of walk you through the process for how you guys will see it. So if you go into the proposals tab in Powur.com, in the project actions section, you'll see a new dropdown called roofing proposal request. And so you'll go there to make the request. You could get an alert at this point in time when you make that request if you have either not completed the roofing certification, or if it's a project where we do not, or it's in a location where we do not have Powur roofers. So then you can get a combination alert as well. So as far as the roofing certification goes, we have that roofing certification updated to outline our new proposal process. And if you've already completed the roofing certification, there's a new certification called New Roofing Process. And it's super quick. It's like less than 15 minutes to complete. That just goes over this process that I'm going to show you today, just to make sure everyone's on the same page and that you understand the new way to request a roofing proposal. If anyone has any issues as they're kind of navigating and trying to figure out like, where's my roofing certification, or why don't I have access to the button? I feel like I should. You can just reach out to sales support. They're the front lines for us, and they know exactly how to lead you. And if they have trouble, they'll send you over to us, and we'll try to resolve for you. All right, so when you hit that request roofing proposal button, there will be a pop-up, and this is just the very first couple of questions, but there's a set of about 10 questions and some open text box where you can enter in information about the request. We're trying to gather as much information as possible about your request so we can provide an accurate roof measurement and proposal for you. So you can just give us as much info as you can, and then once you're done here, you'll select the send request button, and it will come over to our team to do the work. And our team works out of a queue, and we can see every request that's come in. It's time stamped so that we can measure how quick we are to getting to it, and we assign a roofing coordinator, Jennifer De La Cruz, who's actually on this call. She's our other roofing manager that manages the front end proposal team. She's doing assignments to her team as they're coming in so that we make sure that there's action on these requests. Our goal for right now is to get this roof measurement and roof estimate back to you within 24 hours. I did some reporting the other day. It looks like we're closer to 1 to 2 hours in getting the request back, and that's our ultimate goal, but we wanted to kind of ease into it as this is like a new tool for our team to learn as well in managing these requests. If there's a custom quote, if we open up the request and we say like, we need a roofer to look at this and give us a custom quote, or if there's other scenarios where it might take us more time because we're not managing the roof estimate and roof measurement on our own and we need extra support, we'll email you guys and let you know, hey, this is going to require a custom quote. We'd expect it back, by tomorrow, but want to give you a heads up that it may, fall outside of that 24-hour goal timeline for us. And our team might have questions about your request, so they will reach out to you via email. We're hoping one day to get an enhancement where we can just send a chat through powur.com, but we're not there quite yet. So we'll work in email to tackle the one-off questions between the seller and roofing team. Okay, so once we have created once we've gotten the request for your proposal, if you go back into your proposals tab, you'll see in the proposal log, there's a roofing proposal log, and you'll be able to see that we're working on these 2 documents, that they're in progress. And once we are ready and we've uploaded your documents back into that proposal log, you'll receive a notification on your dashboard that will look similar to this, letting you know that your roofing proposal is ready. So then you'll go back to the proposals tab, and you'll see here, there will be, you'll see that your documents are ready to view, and you can click on those. There are 2 different documents which allow you to present, either both documents or one document, just the roofing proposal or just the measurement doc to your customer. So we wanted that flexibility for you guys. So you'll see both, they'll open up into a PDF, and they're easily downloadable for you to share. And here's a snapshot. This is just a partial set of some of the documents that you'll see. I just took a few screenshots, but there will be a full roof measurement report and then a roofing proposal that you'll see when you select download for those 2 items. So if you have a revision request for your roofing proposal, what will happen is if you're looking at your log and you see, okay, here are the 2 that the roofing team presented to me, but now I want to, the customer's asking for, what it would cost for a partial re-roof, or maybe you're just wanting to have 2 different options to present to your customer. So long as you've already requested the roofing proposal, you come to project actions and you'll see roofing proposal revision. And when you click on that, the pop-up will appear from your original request with all the selections that you had made during that time. And you can come in and you can move your selections around and include new notes to the roofing team if you'd like to, and hit send request, and it will follow the same process that we just went through with the request and then us completing those documents and resending them to you. And what I'm not showing here is that you could request as many times as you need to. We'll still be managing that SLA to 24 hours for each request that is sent over, and you'll see a log similar to, you guys know how this works for solar, but it will look similar to your solar log, where you have multiple options and versions of the roofing proposal for you to decide what you want to present to the customer. Okay, and here's just a quick snapshot. You all probably know how this works, but once you receive the proposal, the roofing cost back from us in the roofing proposal, and you want to add it to your solar proposal, you'll obviously just take the price of the roof work, and then you'll come into your solar proposal, click the hamburger button here, go to adders, find the roof work adder, and then you'll add in that cost to your solar proposal. And everything I just went through is in detail in both the roofing certification and in the new roofing process. And this slide deck is in knowledge base, and you can download it and save it and have it on hand if you need it.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Kristen, does the price of the roof shown include any margin? That was a little confusing for me yesterday.
So the price that is shown, that is presented, does include margin, or we're calling it buffer. So when we were managing roofing proposals in Solo, the buffer or the margin was managed with an additional $50 per square added in. And that's kind of a funky way of looking at it. The intention there when we launched with Solo, because Solo is a tool that is intended for solar proposals, not for roofing, and we've been just borrowing it for roofing, and so we've had to do all these really funky workarounds, and that's why it has not been the best experience, to be honest. It's not intended for that. So that was added in to kind of like hide that buffer for our customer, just so it was like a nice clean number. The way that we're managing it now in our tool, which is we use a tool called Roofer to do our roofing measurements and our proposal creation, is we're adding a 10% margin buffer. And we did a bunch of analysis on this. We compared apples to apples on what does the $50 per square look like versus a 10% margin, and it was really, at the end of the day, right around the same exact cost difference. So now we're adding a 10% margin or buffer, and we call it a buffer because we want to be able to tap into that if we need to for change orders and not have to impact the customer. And then any additional that's left over goes over to the total project cost, and that goes right into margin for and commissions for you guys. So that's how we're managing it today, and you will not see it. It's automatically added in. And yeah, we can provide more information on a case-by-case basis if you guys need and you want to talk more about it, but that's how it works today.
Okay, great. So 10%, if you want more or if you want less, go ahead and change your margin in Solo, but now we know that roofing has 10% margin. And then someone did ask about site walks. Kristen, are roofers walking sites? Is that extra?
Yeah, so if a roofer, once the project has been sold and we assign it to a roofer and they say, we want to go do a site walk and make sure that we, have this dialed in, then they'll go do that on their own. If we're wanting a roofer to do a site walk prior to sale, then we have to handle that on a case-by-case basis. And in most cases, we're going to be paying a roofer to do that site walk. And that would be the responsibility of either the customer or the seller to handle that. And then typically, if it translates over into a sale and we assign that roofer to the project, then they'll waive that fee for us. But if you do have a project where you feel like, I really want to have a roofer come out and do a site walk on this project, let us know and we can assign that out.
Okay, great. And I just want to say to everyone real quick, so we can move on here. If you have questions, type in the chat, but it's very important for us to get knowledgeable around asking the right questions. Do you have decking under the shingles? How many layers of shingles do you have? You know, asking the questions that pop up here, setting the expectation, hey, there might be wood we see once it's ripped off. There could be a change order. We have to get laser focused on expectation setting, asking the right questions, and getting really knowledgeable to do our part here. So yeah, and then Jarrett did ask about measurements. When you get the proposal back, it does show the measurements per roofing plane as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And I believe, and I'll double check on this, but if you go to knowledge base and you go to the presentation or the section at the we moved, if you type in roofing program, at the very top is our new proposal process, so that it's just easy for you guys to find. And there's some examples of what the roof measurement doc and the roofing proposal looks like, so that you guys can take a peek at that.
Okay, great. I know there's more questions, but I'm not sure if we should just keep going for the sake of time and then save some questions towards the end.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So that's it for me. I have, you know, a snapshot of our knowledge base. Please go there. We try to keep it, we do keep it up to date. There's a ton of information, even outside of the proposal process, that could be of value to you guys, even like, you know, roof basics, or what are some questions you can ask, like similar to what you said, Jonathan. We have a customer questionnaire that's linked there that is a great tool that you can just go line by line, and it's a great way to collect information about a customer's roof before you're submitting a proposal request. So, okay, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mike Lukatich, who is our roofing operations manager. Mike is amazing. He has many years of roofing industry knowledge, and he's kind of our roofing expert on the team, and he leads the team. He leads the team that does the project management piece of the roofing project. And he's going to just go through a few basics of roofing 101, and then have some Q&A at the end for both Mike and for me. We can just finish the time that way.
Great. Let me make sure he can unmute himself. All right, Mike, let's see. There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Everybody's
Yeah.
good. Well, introduce myself, Mike Lukatich. I am new to Powur. I've only been here 4 months. And so it's been a whirlwind, but absolute joy and a pleasure. You know, you get left hooks and some straight rights, but I know it's out of love and for us trying to grow and get better. So my background, a little bit about me in the last 10 years or so, has just been in roofing. Prior to that, some other leadership roles, but in roofing, from production manager to sales manager to general manager. Have a small little consulting business, which I do not operate right now since joining Powur. It's just been so busy that I help smaller roofing companies kind of get on their feet, build their culture, processes, procedures, that sort of thing, just locally, and been doing that for 5 or 6 years. So with that, wasn't sure what you guys needed from me or from us as a team. And so it's very basic. And so I'll go through these things, and I do hope you have questions, even that are kind of outside of maybe what I'm talking about today. So the first part is I wanted to put up obviously some roof components and give an example, maybe a shingle roof and a tile roof, to give you an example of kind of everything that goes into a roof and that structure. And there's a lot to it, right? So a lot of the issues that we'll get into in change orders has to do with kind of the sheathing and the fascia and the trim board and that sort of thing. But this gives you kind of an idea, and I'm glad you guys get to keep this, of kind of how that's pieced together and how it's put together, from tearing all of that existing off to putting all of that back down. On the right-hand side, with a tile roof, it's missing a few things. So as you get the hip and ridge, there's solite that typically goes over and protects the hip and ridge, that 2x8 wood. You've got your mortar caps and such that aren't visible on here, kind of where your hips meet the ridge, and that sort of thing. But it gives you an idea of kind of everything that's put into a roof, and how you can complete a roof. thing. Kind of what are you looking for? I know a lot of you guys have, and gals, sorry, but a lot of you guys have gone out and looked at these a little bit just from the street view. I don't know if you're kind of nerdy like myself. You get out the binoculars and so you can get a kind of a closer view of things where you don't have to get on a ladder. But and I don't know if a lot of you don't go out to these, right? And you're not actually in front of the customer. But these are some things that you can look at on a tile roof. Whether the roof deck is sagging, whether you've got access to some site survey photos that show you the attic or some cracked or missing tiles, mortar caps that are deteriorating. And I think reviewing those pictures as from the outside of looking at fascia, underneath eaves, attic photos, layers of shingles, missing shingles, cracked tiles, that sort of thing is going to be super helpful for you guys. We now, as a roofing department, are reviewing those site survey photos as well. Not sure, just part of our growth, why we initially weren't utilizing that or thinking to utilize those. But in most cases, they provide us with a lot of insight that can help us alleviate kind of late stage change orders, or at least a multitude of them. Maybe there still is a sheathing issue, but we identified some fascia, or we identified multiple layers, or we identified that there's some other issues with it. So that's a good piece, or some things to think about for a tile roof. The next one was the same things with shingle. To me, identifying shingle roofs are much easier. And I know you still have the plywood issue, but you can really stand on the street view and see that a shingle is curling or it's starting to lift. You know, or you can see it maybe bubbling or blistering. Again, the same types of thing. Do you see a sag or a sagging in the roof? You know that, hey, I need to maybe work in some plywood into this proposal and into this sale. And again, the same types of things. Just looking around the property, walking the property, looking at those photos and analyzing everything from inside the attic to maybe a rooftop view, to pictures of the fascia or trim board, metal. If you see some flashings that are bent, both a tile or a shingle roof, so those sorts of things are telltale signs that we need to get something done with that roof. And most of you guys know, right? Common change orders, and it all seems to be related to wood. And the reality of that is it's typically uncovered, and maybe it's neglected, whether it be exposed to elements and obviously fascia and trim board. That happens to get a lot of moisture. Maybe it's not painted every 5 to 10 years and protected. And those sorts of things tend to rot. Maybe it's not up to code and we don't have drip edge. We don't have bird stop. We don't have the things that we need on there. So you're going to run into these change orders, I think, relatively consistently. And I wish I could tell you you're not, but being in the industry and not having somebody physically up on that roof, lifting up tiles, looking underneath, which is maybe areas we can improve on, right? Site survey photos with layers of shingle. You're going to run into these things. And so I think Jonathan said it perfectly. It's beautiful. I mean, you're setting the right expectation. And it doesn't matter what industry that you're in or what you're selling or what you're presenting to somebody. I think being upfront and honest and transparent about, hey, these are some of the issues we've run into over time. Here's the reason that it might pop up. And kind of here's some commonalities between roofs and some issues that we have with change orders. So I look at this, and the reason I listed fascia, trim board, eaves, and soffits, my hope is that we can catch those just as a team, both you guys and us, and we can catch those a little bit earlier and have some site survey photos or have some information ahead of time. So if we do have a change order, it's something in an early stage, like, hey, we caught this early as we were assigning a roofer, and be able to alleviate kind of the frustration of having that late stage change order for you guys. Mine was short and sweet, right? That's why Kristen's the big boss. But I want to take some time to answer some questions and dive in. And if I don't know, I'll tell you, hey, listen, I don't know. I got to look into that. But I want to take some time. If you guys got questions, heck, even some frustrations, as long as their narration is sort of, let's find a solution for it. I'm down for that too. So not sure if you guys have any questions regarding some of that.
Great, thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
If we can type a few questions into the chat just for the sake of time. We'll try to let people unmute here in a second.
Okay.
And I just wanted to also say that please check roofing certification and knowledge base. I'll put it in the chat again, knowledge base and take the certification. And then I do have 1 or 2 trainings on my YouTube. One I did with Reggie, who's a roofer here, and one I did with David and Sam from One Stop Roofing. If you want to be able to analyze what's a concrete tile, what's a lightweight tile, what is stone coated metal, what's standing seam metal, how to tell if it's concrete tile because there's nail holes on the side or there's not nail holes, maybe it's clay, what a recessed inlay installation picture frame looks like. Please, please, please check knowledge base, check university, take the training and watch these additional YouTubes because you have to be the trusted professional. You have to know all those items or work with a mentor that does know those items that can check Google Street View and know right away what kind of roof, how old it is, check Redfin, check year built. We got to be knowledgeable. We have to set the right expectations. So with that said, let's see what questions we have. I know a lot of people, Kristen, were asking about when does the homeowner get to choose the roofing color, choose the shingle? When does that occur?
Yes, and I wanted to add one more thing before I answer that question, because this has been actually a common question that's come up as well. If you don't see the roofing certification in knowledge base as being assigned to you, it might be because you have not completed your tier 2 certification. So that's a prerequisite to having access to the roofing certification. So make sure that you have your tier 1, tier 2 certification completed, and then you'll see the roofing certification there. So I just wanted to add that in. As far as material selection, that happens once the roofer has been assigned, and Mike, feel free to chime in here, but once the roofer has been assigned and makes contact with the customer to get scheduling going is when they typically will talk through color selection and other details about the project.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And if there's delays, I saw an email today that someone's kind of waiting on, you know, a booklet or a brochure. I mean, if we have a general idea of kind of what they're going to be using, because there's a list of, you know, basically provided that we don't provide, but that we allow kind of to go up on the roof that are higher end type materials. If you need a copy of a brochure, or you need a link, and that reach out to me and I'll send you a link. Or if you need to find it, you can always go to the Eagle and Boral, Komodo, FT. You can go all these sites and they'll have a link there that if that speeds up the process to provide that to your customer to say, hey, the roof's going to be in contact with you, but I set you some links. That way you can go through some things and maybe have some decisions made ahead of time prior to that meeting. I can send those to you as well.
Great. Someone did ask about shingles. Are we allowed to install a second layer of shingle and then solar, or do we have to pull up the layer that's there to continue?
The reason, and I get it, an overlay, it's going to save a ton of cost, and maybe the shingle isn't, you know, maybe at the end of its life, so to speak, right? So the reason we don't allow the overlay is just we don't know, I guess, the workmanship or the materials that are underneath it, and so we don't warranty that, and so we just don't allow that. You'd have to actually tear that off and reinstall.
Okay, good advice. Yeah, I know Joe Timko asked about that, and it does make sense. David Ringo, let's see if you want to come off mute and ask a question.
Yes. Hey guys, Kristen and Michael, thank you so much for everything you're doing for us and all of Powur. You guys are killing it. And Kristen, you know what project I'm going to thank you for, but thank you for that. Also, in Florida, I'm selling a lot of roofing now outside of Powur. I have a friend that I'm selling for that's part of Powur, and they're asking for, a lot of the homeowners are asking for peel and stick or ice and water, whatever you want to call it, over the entire roof deck. Is that a line item or something that we can just add in notes? And I have sadly not gone through this presentation or the training yet, so it may be in there. I apologize if it is, but is that something we can add, or do we just add that in descriptions, or how would we do that?
Is it, Chris, I don't want to overstep, sorry. Is it common? I mean, is that something that's consistently you're being asked, or?
Yeah, I'm being asked that almost,
Okay.
but keep in mind, we just had Ian go through and tear up a ton of roofs from Fort Myers all the way up to Sarasota. So that's the area I'm working. And as I go and the shingle jobs specifically, our competition, everybody that I go up against is doing that automatically. So I'm matching that. And I don't know if that's a line item or how I would do that. I know there's an added cost, obviously. It's not an inexpensive adder. So
Sure.
I'm doing that with a project or with a company I'm working with now. But if I were to do that and have somebody ask that, how would I do that within Powur?
You can add it to the description and
Okay.
add that note, that kind of addition, and just ensure that it's kind of clear of what you're looking for. Whether you want the peel and stick, or do you want, I mean, because there's peel and stick underlayment, or is it mod bit that you're putting down, or is it the ice and water over the whole roof? So if you can have a general idea kind of what you're looking for, then yeah, absolutely, that team can send that off.
Just put in the descriptions in?
Kristen, I think that would be the best.
Yeah, I think you just add that as a note, and then we'll make sure, I mean, it might end up being like that might turn into a custom quote, because we'll need to reach out to the roofer to get that information, and then we'll just have them include that in the quote that's provided to you.
Awesome. Thank you both again for everything you're doing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bill, see if you can unmute.
Hi, Kristen, Michael. Hey, glad to have a team in place, and you're doing a great job. I got two quick questions. One, when does it turn into a custom quote? And is that requested by the seller, or is that for you guys to figure out on the back end?
I'd say it's typically we'll call that out. We'll say, oh, this sounds like it's outside of the typical scope that we have, negotiated pricing with our roofers on. And so when you make that request, filling out the form, our team will look at that, and then they'll say, this requires a custom quote, and then they'll let you know that we're going to reach out to the roofer for a custom quote.
Okay. Second question, in California, speaking of, when the roofer goes out to do the inspection or permitting, if permitting is needed in California for the roof, do they get involved with other issues that might be at the house, the inspectors? I've had a couple of people that are doing some other remodels, and they're worried about inspectors coming out or whatever, and looking at other parts of the project, not just the solar or the roof. It's kind of a strange question.
I've honestly, I haven't heard anything, but I don't know if your team has seen some of that maybe in California as well. I haven't heard any feedback that's
Okay.
happened from a roofing standpoint.
Anybody else have any input? No. Okay. And then last question, is the price per square set per region or per type of roof, or per, if you got a multifaceted roof with 8 roof angles versus a single story, one flat house, are they, do you have just set prices per square, or are you actually looking at the overall?
Yeah, we have set prices per square for each scope in each location with our partner. And then there's also like some adders for, steep pitches and other scenarios that would add to the price. It's all negotiated and contracted with our roofers. So yeah, we're able to manage, that specifically.
Okay, so that comes out, that's not a custom quote. You're doing that
No.
in the measurement
Yeah.
piece. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm clear on that. I appreciate your help on that. Thanks.
Guys, Owen asked if you could explain what a drip edge is and why is it code?
Okay. Yeah. So the drip edge will come down off of the roof, and it will cover the fascia. So typically a fascia, you have trim board. If not, you'll just have straight fascia. And that drip edge comes down and covers it, and typically has a 45-degree angle at the bottom. And so as water runs off, it hits that small 45-degree angle and kind of deflects it away from the wood. And that prevents your fascia from rotting and deteriorating. And so that's why it's the code. There are a lot of issues over the years where water would run straight down, it would deteriorate. There you go. The fascia, or even if you had trim board that was underneath there, and to alleviate that's become code.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Someone asked, are or can gutters be a part of the roofing project? or only if installing roofer does gutters as part of the offering? I would probably say we should leave that separate, but not sure about gutters.
We
Yeah.
typically have them work, right, Chris? Sorry, Kristen.
No, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, we typically have, they can work directly with our roofing partner if they'd like. We have recommended that and done it quite a bit, but it's not included, in that proposal.
Okay, great. Mike Miller asked about selling virtually. How do I know about concrete tiles? I've put into the chat 2 videos that I've done about ways to see that on Google Street View, satellite, getting a homeowner to send a picture, things like that. And I believe there's more training in university and knowledge base as well. Nick asked, in California, is there a specific product, manufacturer, or warranty installed, right? Is it GAF? Is it Owens? Is it Malarkey? How do we know that? Is it Cool Shingle in LA County? Is it not?
All of them can be used, right? And all of them have, to me, the same quality if you're comparing them straight across to their level of composition. So to which that you need, maybe we can do some research. I'm not sure if that as you're selling in those counties or those areas that there's information provided that you can do a little bit of research and pull that up. I know the roofers in those areas know. They know specifically because they're right hundreds of roofs every year in that specific city, county, or region or territory. And maybe I'm not understanding the question, but if that's the question of what do we need to use, or what can be used, OC, GAF, Malarkey, I know is popular, really popular in California and really kind of moved into Arizona in the last few years. But there are a number of those that you can use because of the quality of shingle and composition.
So our partners can use usually the big 3. It varies amongst partners, and in counties where a cool shingle might be required, like LA, the partner knows to use that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And here, real quickly, sorry. If your homeowner says, "Hey, I want to use OC," relay that on to us, and we can relay that on to the roofer. Most of them will use whatever the homeowner requests, the seller requests, that sort of thing. So if we reach out and say, "Hey, there's a request that we use,"
Right.
put Malarkey Highlander next, and that's what we're going to use. So.
OC being Owens Corning for everyone on the call, and Malarkey and GAF are the 3 big manufactured brands of roofing components. Can we re-roof wood shake or slate roofs? And I'll let you answer this, but my guess is yes, but the entire roof will have to be re-roofed.
Yeah, it will. You'd have to redo the entire thing.
Right. And wood shake will likely need new plywood, David. And then ideally you go a shingle, and then you could put the solar on. So the answer is yes, David. Most AHJs won't allow you just to do a partial wood shake re-roof. So you want to plan on doing the whole entire house if you have a wood shake. We got about 10 more minutes. So if you want to raise your hand to come off of mute, let's see what other questions we have in the chat. Thank you guys for the time here. Are partial re-roofs primarily for roof material that don't qualify for solar? That's going to depend, Stacy. Like a clay tile would be yes to that. It's going to depend on the type of roofing material that's on that roof. But also, just on another point, if a customer just wants to replace the shingle on their south-facing roof, not the entire roof, we do partial re-roofs where allowed as well. Is that right, I'm assuming?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
James asked about metal roofs. Yes, James, we do standing seam metal roofs for sure, very easily. We do Decra metal tile roofs that would require a comp out picture frame style. And if your homeowner wants a new metal roof, that would be a custom quote as well. I'd work with a mentor if you need more help around that. Joseph asked about lightweight tile roofs. Joseph, Anything under about 8.5 to 9.5 pounds, considered lightweight, will require a comp out, inlay, recessed style, custom roof quote is needed for that. Do you guys want to add anything on picture frame lightweight, clay or lightweight tile? Just leave in the notes how to request that perhaps, and then sometimes you may need new plywood under it, sometimes you may not, so that could vary as well.
Yeah, and that's an option that they can select in the re-roof request form. When that pops up, they can select the comp inlay there, and just provide detail. And Mike, I don't know if you have anything else to add. No. Okay.
Someone asked again, at what point does the homeowner pick the shingle style and color? And I believe Mike said when the roofer is assigned to the project and makes contact, they will discuss that with the homeowner.
Correct.
I see a couple of enterprise questions. Maybe I can answer.
Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah. So Bradley's asking that with the Powur Pro account, can you add and choose new roofers? So yeah, if you have a enterprise account with Powur and you're a Powur Pro seller, you can indicate, you actually have to do it in your profile. You have to add who your preferred roofing partner is. And that comes over to us as part of the project package before assignment. So we'll see that you want it to go to this roofer. They have to be an onboarded Powur roofer. If you are a Powur Pro or an enterprise seller, you can ask for us to onboard. Even in markets where we're saturated with roofers, you can say, hey, I want you guys to onboard this roofer because I'm going to send all my work over to them, and we will facilitate that for you and make sure that it's fine.
Jennifer asked if there's a change in price due to the customer selection of material with the roofer. Will that be communicated to the customer and or only the seller?
It will be communicated to the roofing team and to the customer, and we would always tell the seller if there was an adjustment. So if we price it based on a standard shingle and the customer wants an upgraded shingle, then there would be a change order, and we would be communicating to all parties that change is being made. Or if when you're requesting the roofing proposal and you're saying, I want upgraded shingle, if we have that information out the gate, then we'll make sure that that's included in the pricing when we submit the proposal over to you.
Tammy, standing seam we do easily work with, and the solar can be installed on standing seam, no problem.
There's a question from, oh, sorry, Jonathan.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just saw a question from Brad about, you're asking if it's a similar due diligence process for onboarding a roofer as it is for a solar company. And it's very similar. We actually are working closely with that team to be aligned on kind of our process. Some of the checkpoints will be different because it's two different types of partners. But yes, we fully vet and onboard all of our roofers to make sure that they have, the right licensing and insurances and work. We make sure that that yes, they're a legitimate partner before we onboard them. It's pretty complex. There's actually a section on the knowledge base that talks about everything that we do to vet and onboard our partners.
And for those of you that are new here, I see a few questions or a private question about knowing the roof type selling virtually. You really want to work with a mentor that's sold hundreds of deals, that knows how to look at street view, GPS, ask the right questions, know the age of the roof, look around at that neighborhood and knows what roofing materials are there. You want to get good at that and learn from your mentors to pick that out, or watch the trainings that I've put on the YouTube here as well. I just can't express how important that is to get better and know that information. And then Daniel, I know you've asked about NEM 3.0. I don't know if we have time to cover in depth today, but customer has to sign up by the end of March is what I'm saying right now. Likely it'll be a few days before April 13th, but it's safe to say they have to sign up by the end of March, not be installed, but just sign up for that interconnection completed document to be done in California. All right, guys, I think we have another minute or two. Tom Cotter, if you're still there, if you've seen any more questions or want to come off mute, anyone else want to raise their hand or ask another question, we are going to wrap it up.
Very good. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Michael. Helpful
welcome.
as always.
Hey, I'm not speaking for Kristen, but anytime you want me to jump on, just let me know. This was fun. I enjoy doing this, and I'm learning a lot about the solar side. So being able to listen in to you guys and what you're meeting about, it's very interesting, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. We'd love to be, on regularly where appropriate to just talk about roofing or answer questions.
Very good.
There was
Thank
another
you.
question
Thank you.
from Jennifer. If there's a change in price due to customer selection of material with the roofer, will that change in price be communicated to the customer or only to the seller?
We hit on that a minute ago, but we
Sorry, I
would
may have
know
been
about
answering
that.
questions.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we answered that question. But yes, the answer is that we would be notified by the roofer, and we would be processing a change order, in which case the seller and customer would know about that.
Thanks. Just trying to make sure Jennifer's taken care of.
Thanks, Tom.
Very good. Well, thank you again to the roofing team.